as well. So, we always have that, kind of check-in, right? Waiting to hear the good news or recent news or what have you. So anything interesting on your end?
Yes, I'll go ahead and share my screen. I wanted to bring your team up to date on the latest with SB9 and 10, and then show how City of Los Angeles has taken the lead on checking for the status of SB9 and 10 on properties, and just making sure your team is aware on how to check that that confirmation for each property through ઝemis. So if you like, I can briefly just go again through the PowerPoint that I prepared previously on recap of SB9 and 10, and then jump into a quick workshop on ઝemis and how to check that confirmation of SB9 and 10 eligibility. So again, our firm, Elevated Entitlements, we specialize on entitlement expediting and land use consulting. We are experienced with both government agencies and private developers. We help with environmental agency coordination as well. We talked about the new legislation that was passed and how this is going to be funding for the new push for more affordable housing in California. And SB9 we discussed was a state mandate that required all cities to abide to, and SB10 was a voluntary action that that different cities can abide to if they feel is necessary for their city. So we talked about SB9 was a by right lot split to go to a single family residence to 4 units and a duplex on each half. And we discussed the key takeaways and requirements for SB9. And the biggest thing is that you need to have a lot that's at least 1,200 square feet in size. You must be in an urbanized area, and you cannot demolish more than 25% of the existing structural wall of the existing residence. And then once you do construct the duplexes, you must have a signed affidavit showing that you occupy one of the units, and you have to be a primary residence of that unit for at least 3 years. SB10 we talked is a voluntary action. It allows you to do a rezone of the property without any environmental review. So if you have a single family use, you can go up to 10 units. And this is if you're next to a half a mile of a transit center. And this is a voluntary action that cities can take advantage of in order to increase housing. So SB10 has been adopted, and SB9 has been adopted by City of Los Angeles. If you're familiar with ઝemis, this is a great tool for your team to use to identify property zoning and information. City of Los Angeles has added a new tab. It's called SB9 Eligibility, and you can click view to view a property in SB9 eligibility criteria checklist. So I just picked up a random address. This is 2925 South Westwood Boulevard. It's a R1 zone single family. I click that checklist and it brings me up this checklist item. And this is available for any property in the City of Los Angeles. So I highly recommend, if your client wants to take advantage of this, you print out this form and share it with your client. This checklist, you have to go through and make sure it responds correctly to each item. So for example, the first one says planning and housing standards, all answers must be yes. So in this case, this parcel is located in a single family zone, yes. It is a legal parcel, yes. It's not located as a historical structure, yes. And lots have not been previously split. So you're okay here, everything's checked yes. In this environmental standards, everything needs to be checked no. So is it a prime farmland? No. Is it a wetland? No. Hazardous site? No. A flood zone? No. We go through and we see everything is checked no. So we are clear from that item. Then we go through this item. It says transit proximity criteria must be a yes for either of the following to be eligible for parking. So we do have 1.5 mile of a transit corridor, so we qualify. And then the housing criteria, and it says, please refer to the SB9 memo and how these conditions may affect the SB9 application. we got to make sure we're not in a rent stabilized area or affordable Ellis Act criteria. So we're both no. And then in this case, the last item says areas requiring certain standards must be met. Are we in a high fire zone? No. And are we in an earthquake fault zone? No. So in this case, we found out that the property does qualify for SB9. So this potential project site can be converted from one single family home to a duplex of 4 units. So moving forward, I recommend definitely your team look at this when identifying a property in the state of LA and going through that checklist to make sure your clients have the total information, understanding of what the highest and best use of their property is. Now, this is just one tool for City of Los Angeles. Each city has their own tools to identify SB9. For example, Long Beach has a general plan map that shows the SB9 designations. So it's all determined on what the underlying jurisdiction is and how they identify SB9 properties. But for City of LA, this is the process. And if there's any questions, I'm open to answering any of them.
Didn't you entitle the property across the street?
Yes, yeah, this is a project I worked across the street.
Oh, okay. It's a 60 unit, right?
Yes, this is a 60 unit multifamily.
Okay. Okay, and the other question, do you have anything that we can search for SB10?
So that's a good question. SB10 will fall under the TOC program. So any item that falls under TOC, Transit Community, also qualifies for SB10. So when you're looking through ZEMIS, you want to look under SB9 and this highlighted area, and you want to look under TOC. So if it falls under TOC, is also eligible for SB10.
Any TOC, 1, 2, 3, 4, doesn't matter.
Any TOC, correct? Any tier.
Any tier.
Mm-hmm.
But the SB10 doesn't have any parking requirements.
No parking requirements, and it allows up to 10 units by right without any environmental review. Whereas TOC, you would be required to go through an environmental review. So there's benefits of SB10. It's more of a streamlined process than the TOC.
I'm really confused. So you're telling me right now, SB10, if it's approved by the city, it's pretty much by right? It's
by right. So if this applicant wants to do 10 units on his property, he can, because he qualifies under TOC tier 3. So he can qualify for 10 units by right without any CEQA review and go straight to building plan check. However, he can also take advantage of SB9 and do a lot split and do 4 units, or the property owner can take advantage of the TOC tier 3 and qualify for a 70% density bonus. So he has 3 options of how to maximize the property.
I mean, there's nothing against the, I'm just trying to, play the other side, the neighbor. I have a house, I just built a house, I paid $5 million for it, and my next door neighbor is building an apartment building. There's nothing I can say or do? No, yeah, this is a state mandate that supersedes. So unfortunately, if you're buying in this area, you need to know what your zoning is and what you're buying into. Wow. Okay. Thank you.
No problem, Sam.
Kevin, continuing this question, let's say I want to buy that next door property. How would I know what's going on all around? I mean, yes.
So if you were purchasing the lot in the rear, let's say this lot 52, and you're a new owner, number one, your first thing to do would be to meet with the city and pull all building records. And when you pull all building records, you get all your zoning information and what records are on this property. And number two, if this owner went and started his application for SB10, all neighbors within 500 feet of the property would be notified. So you would get a letter in the mail stating that this this applicant is proposing a 10-unit structure.
Yeah, but that is after the fact. In other words,
That's-
let's say I'm looking at lot number 52 to buy it,
Right.
and there's nothing happening, right? I wouldn't know until lot number 25 later on decides to do 10 units. So basically,
Right.
it's that nobody has any
So-
control over this, what you're saying.
Right. So the best thing to do if you're a new property owner is to always request a zoning verification. So meeting with the city, ask for a zoning verification. They'll tell you what the zoning is of the property and what uses are allowed. So if you were purchasing lot 52, you would go to the city and request a lot verification or zoning verification. And they'll say your property is zoned R1, but you have the potential for multifamily here for these reasons. And they'll give you that determination. Or you
Thank
can
you.
come to us too. We can also provide that information.
Thank you so much. Got it.
Good question.
It's pretty impressive. They added that
I'm-
that feature over there, the SB9 on Zimas.
Yes, and it works for any property in the city of LA. So instead of going through the city and asking questions, they have a checklist that you can go right to and get answered. So that's a big help.
Would it also show City of Beverly Hills? I'm just curious.
No, Beverly Hills does not have that information online. So you would have to go through the planning department. They don't have a system like this that would show it.
But Zimas from LA would not show, let's say Beverly Hills or West Hollywood or Santa Monica, right? Is this?
That's correct. Those are all different city jurisdictions. So they have their own zoning and SB9 requirements. So City of LA is all through Zimas. Beverly Hills, it's its own jurisdiction, so they'll have their own system to show that information.
Got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
Kevin, have you applied for any SB9s or SB10s for any of your clients?
Yes, we've done two successfully in the city of Long Beach. They're pretty progressive and encouraging SB9 projects. So we've done two there that have been successful. I haven't done one in the city of LA yet. I've been getting a lot of interest, but no clients moving forward yet.
This is
And I can show-
really
I can
confusing.
show you an example of Long Beach. And they do theirs a little different. They give you a kind of a PDF sheet describing the use. And they have their own checklist through that PDF system. So it's not as intuitive as Zimas, but it's another process to kind of go through that checklist to make sure your property qualifies. So I don't have the PDF in front of me, but I can share it with your team in an email so you can see what that checklist looks like.
Other questions for Kevin? Kevin, what do you see the trend to be as of the result of the SB9? Really, what's
I'm seeing more people taking advantage of it, especially investors. They're looking to take advantage of SB9 and SB10. They're looking at properties that have a large enough lot size, because that's going to be your main constraint, having the lot size to be able to take advantage of the lot split and have some largeable size units. So I think you'll see more and more of it, especially in these urbanized areas near transit, where you can maximize SB9 and 10 on a home that is just traditionally single family.
Kevin, it's Omid. How are you, man?
Hey, Omid, I'm doing great.
Did you get any kickback from the city of Long Beach when you were doing the ones that you got approved initially, or were they open to it really?
No, they've been very open and encouraging SB9. So they're looking for more housing in their city. So they've been very open with the process, easy to work with. We went straight to building plan check. So it's very quick paced. Planning just looked at it for lot size and planning requirements for setbacks and height, but we were able to clear through them quickly and go straight to building and safety. So we were able to process this application in about 3 months.
Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
Good. Awesome. Do you see LA possibly being twice as long or longer than that?
City of LA is a little more cumbersome, but it is supposed to be more streamlined in that they will allow you to go straight to building and safety. It's just the multitude and magnitude of how many projects go through this city. It just sometimes you need a more attention and push with an expediter, whereas City of Long Beach, kind of a smaller city, there's more hands-on review and coordination.
Got it. Have you spoken to anybody who has gotten anything through City of LA yet, or have you not heard of anybody actually?
I haven't spoken with anybody that's gone through all the way and been approved. I've spoken to people that have started the process, but I don't know where they are through that entitlement process.
Okay, got it. Cool. Just wondering how crazy it would be to deal with them.
Yeah, LA is another animal. So it definitely, I would recommend when you do want to go through this process, you bring someone like us involved. We meet with planning staff, go straight to building and safety, and start that line of communication directly with them.
Start to finish, how much does it typically cost with you guys?
For us, for entitlements, it depends on the size of the project, but it can be anywhere from 10 to 25,000 for entitlements.
Got it. Cool. We'll talk later.
And then architectural is a separate cost that you'll need involved to help to prepare plans for the site.
Yeah, architectural engineering would be separate. I got you.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. We'll talk later.
Okay, thanks, Hamid.
Yeah, Kevin, can you do like an example? For example, I used to own a house on 10700 Lynbrook Drive.
Mhm.
Okay, if you can bring that up. Can that potentially be a 10-unit apartment building right next to the high rises?
Lynbrook is spelled
Lindbr.
oh, Lynbrook.
Yeah.
There's a corner lot.
Yeah.
So it's R1. You're also TOC tier 3. So you qualify for
Yeah,
SB10. And then we'll go ahead and look at the SB9 checklist. So we click view. And you qualify for the housing standards. You qualify for all the environmental. You qualify for the transit. So yes, you are eligible for SB9 as well.
SB10. No, I'm talking about SB10.
SB10, yes, you do qualify because you're also under a TOC tier 3.
And blocking people's view is not going to get in the way?
If you do get complaints, they will be overridden by the city. City would
Oh my God.
would concede with your project because you're a by right use. You're allowed.
Wow. This is going to be insane.
So currently, the unit count on this property is how many? So it looks like there's 1 unit, 4-bedroom, 5-bath. So yeah, you can definitely take advantage of the TOC program or SB10 on this property.
Oh my God. This is insanity.
Yeah, it's definitely a game changer. The state of California has deemed it an emergency housing crisis act. So they've given a lot of incentives to provide more housing development.
Kevin, question in regards to, like, if you do those 10 units on Lynbrook or Westwood, wherever, do you need to dedicate some for low income, or how does?
Good question. So for TOC, you do have to provide 15% to low income housing. So that is required per the TOC program. For the state SB10, you do not have to set aside affordable housing. So it can be all market rate.
I see. So the
So
TOC is just the indicator for how close you are to a transit.
Correct, how close you are to transit. So the higher the tier 4 is the highest, the closer you are to transit center. TOC is half a mile of a transit center. So in this case, you're tier 3, so you're close to around 500 feet from a transit center.
But Kevin, I'm confused. What has that tier 1, 2, 3, 4 got to do with dedication? So that 50% is written in stone. It has to be.
So the TOC tier 1, 2, and 3, and 4 are all the density bonuses you're be able to receive. So the highest tier, tier 4, is 80% density bonus. Tier 7 is, or I'm sorry, tier 3 is 70%. Tier 2 is 60%, and tier 1 is 50%. And out of all those tiers, you're still required a minimum set aside of affordability, and that's 15% of the total units is set aside for affordable.
So how can you, if you do 10 units, how does that work? So it should be 2 units or 1 unit?
So for SB10, you're not providing any affordable, only for TOC. So if you want to take advantage of TOC tier 3, you can get a 70% density bonus, but you have to set aside 15% for affordable. However, if you want to just take advantage of SB10, you can get 10 units by right, and all can be market rate.
So Kevin, you're telling me that you can actually build 17 units if you decide to go with a TOC 3?
So for your property, you take the total lot size. So in this case, your lot is 8,526. And do you have an alley in the rear or no?
No, no.
So you take 8,526, and then you divide it by your minimum lot area. So in this case, your minimum is 800 square feet for a unit. So that's 11 units by right. And then you take 11 and then you multiply by your 70% density bonus, which gets you about 8. So you can do 19 units by right on this site.
Wow.
No parking, 0 parking.
You do have to provide half a parking space per unit. So out of the 19, if you times it by 15%, 3 units have to be dedicated to affordable.
We're talking about an R1 zoning?
Yes.
It's crazy.
So this is insanity, bro. I don't understand. I'm confused.
It's crazy. They've basically given a number of incentives for landowners in California to build more housing, more affordable units.
There's going to be a lot of housing now.
Yeah, especially near these transit corridors, they're trying to encourage more housing so people walk to public transit, use more mass transit, avoid using cars. It's all to encourage more urbanized development.
Oh my God, this is like going to be a catastrophe.
Yeah, it's happening. I mean, I'm seeing it just on the entitlement side.
Manny, you have any ideas?
I'm trying to figure out what's Kevin, what's the best way to really get that information from title, meaning to pull whatever is R1, tier 3.
The best is ZMIS. So if it's City of LA property, ZMIS is your guide. And I would recommend you use this tool for any City of LA property. If it's for a property that's not in City of Los Angeles, we would need to go through each jurisdiction and pull the information separately.
I mean, I guess what I mean by asking this versus going like lot by lot, what's the best way just to pull a report that shows you a list of all the tier 3 properties in specific area?
I see. So one trick you can use, and this is in ZMIS, is you can go to the TOC and just click click TOC tier 3, and it's gonna open up the guidelines, which you can read separately. But if you close this box, and you zoom out, it gives you these concentric circles. So if you zoom out, so the darker the circle, the higher the tier, the lighter the circle, the lighter, the smaller the tier. So the smallest tier is tier 1, is light blue. The dark is the higher tier, tier 3 and 4. So if you zoom out, you can see City of LA, and you can see all the concentric circles that show you all the TOC properties. So any of these properties that fall within these concentric circles allow you a density bonus.
Kevin, in the previous map, you had some red dots. The very first map you had, there were a lot of red dots, small dots. Do they have any meaning?
No, the red dots was just to be able to click on the property.
Oh, okay.
So Kevin, so basically by looking at that map, and let's say zooming to, where a cursor is, for example, to specific area, so you can see, if you can zoom in, Kevin, to, let's just do a specific area.
You know, this area is gonna be a new transit, right? There's a new subway coming here.
Correct,
so that's why you're seeing the darker colors.
Yeah. And that looks like Wilshire, if I had to guess.
Yeah, that's Wilshire Boulevard.
Right. But we know that, most of it is not relevant because it's mostly condos there anyways.
Right. You have some single family here, but you're correct. Most of it is commercial or condo development. Yeah.
But back to your point, I mean, that was just a specific area. But so, technically what we can do as realtors, right, is to figure out what those areas are and then educate our clients or investors, builders of what the SB10 in that specific case provides, and then go and target those specific little bubbles.
Right. Yeah, these bubbles definitely are a positive, right? So any investor or owner wants to know their property falls within these concentric circles is important, and where they fall is important. So you can see, for example, the Wilshire corridor, you can see where basically these are going to be subway stops or metro stops, and they want to see housing near these major thoroughfares. You can look at downtown LA and see all the darker blue colors. Even if you go to the Valley and you want to see the Van Nuys corridor, you can see the connection here.
Interesting, yeah.
They're looking to, this is all based on transit, right? So they're looking to see how they can these cities through transit and bring housing near the transit centers.
Yeah, that's going to be because of the light rail that they're planning on building along Van Nuys Boulevard.
That's correct.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Many questions for you. Many questions for you as agents. Can we contact these homeowners and say, hey, your next door property is gonna build a 10 unit. You want to sell your house?
I don't think you can do that.
Or is that
I don't think you can. Yeah, I don't think you can do that at this point unless there's actual construction happening. So you don't want to be.
if you have proof that you can show
manipulating the information, but I would call my investors and get interest and see if that's if they want to invest today towards it can be as soon as later this year or next year or whatever. Buy this property today before it's gonna cost much more, right? That could be an option, I guess.
Right.
At least today. Not sure what the conversation is gonna be tomorrow.
Kevin, going back to SB9 real fast. Let's say hypothetically you have a single family house that went through ADU process, has an ADU in the back. Are you able to split that off as its own separate parcel?
The ADU, it can as its own separate parcel, but it would just need to meet all the setback requirements and minimum lot size requirements.
So if it meets everything per that checklist, you would be able to basically go ahead and split that off and, I guess in a way, sell that ADU.
Yeah, that is possible.
Good stuff, Kevin.
Very good. If there's any other questions, you know how to reach me. I'm available and open to any questions or comments before we wrap it up.
What do you charge for this service?
For due diligence.
For pretty much everything.
So for many of my clients, I do a due diligence on their property. We charge a time and materials rate of $185 an hour. But usually we don't need more than 2-3 hours to put together a simple due diligence report. Once we identify the highest and best use of the property, we can put together a formal proposal then to how to put a game plan of how to maximize the development opportunity on the property.
Okay.
But I appreciate you, Sam, and others who've reached out and connected me with potential investors and clients, and see how we can help them.
Okay. I'm trying to think because I honestly, it's like when something is too good to be true, it's like there's something wrong with it. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to see if I bring you a land today in the city of Los Angeles, SB10, next door to a multi-million-dollar homes, you can have it entitled for 10 units?
If it's SB9 and or SB10 and it falls within a major transit corridor, yes, yeah, you have the right to do that. And if the neighbor wants to come and cause issues, of course they're welcome to, but the city is going to abide by the state law.
Do you feel confident?
Yes, I'm confident. I've seen it already with TOC projects, and unfortunately to the neighbors, the state mandate takes precedence, and the state has control over the local jurisdiction. And even if the city may not agree, they must abide to the state guidelines.
But you said that SB10 was discretionary by the city.
It is. So City of Los Angeles has adopted it, SB10, because they already have a similar program in place with TOC. Other cities, or like where I live in Thousand Oaks, they have not adopted SB10, but they must abide to SB9.
I got you, yeah. Okay. I guess we got to talk more about this in the next few weeks because I want to start pitching this. And Manny, I think we should take this seriously. There's a lot of opportunities here, a lot of opportunities.
No, well, 100%. That's what I'm saying. This is now also through ZMAS. That's even a better tool. Very, very smart what they did. Gives you pretty much, it gives you, it's like a gold mine map, right? Shows you exactly where
it's your treasure map, right? And now you got to put the X marks the spot of which property falls within that circle.
That's it. That's pretty much it. That's the game. A question from Elizabeth. Could nearby homeowners to SB9-10 development sue either developers or realtors representing the developer?
The question again, just restating, was can neighbors sue the developer for SB9, taking advantage of SB9? Is that the question?
Yeah.
They can sue, but they will not win the lawsuit when the state mandate says that it is allowable and acceptable, and that they would have to sue under a case that has evidence or a real standing of what they're suing underneath, right? So if they're suing that this is illegal, you can point right back to the ordinance and Senate bill and say this is legal and it's from the state. So they will not win. If it does go to a judge, they will not win the case. They can delay it. They can use that technique or tactic to delay the project, sure, but they won't win the case.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, Kevin, good stuff. Thank you as always. That was highly valuable. So we're definitely going to keep watching that, and then we'll talk more, see what the next opportunity is.
Very good. Thank you all. Appreciate your time. Nice seeing you all.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, that was